really appreciate your time today. I understand that you must be super busy with the launch of the book and everything going on, the reopening of the gyms and everything. So, how how have you found this kind of lockdown situation, and how's it been for you?
It's been new, just like has been for everybody. Um, the biggest thing for us is shutting the gym. You know, I've got a team of 7 trainers and management staff who do an incredible job of not only running the gym but coaching our clients. And closing the gym was a tough one because the team in Nottingham are personal trainers. You know, they don't really have online businesses,
Right.
and so with that, we're very proud that they are hardcore PTs. So as soon as this lockdown went, whoop, we managed to get their clients to work with them online. So that was good. And then just for me, we've got, I think there was nearly 150 trainers booked in for our seminars, which were supposed to be live in Edinburgh and in Nottingham. And so obviously that's a big chunk of the business as an opportunity for us there. So what we decided to do during lockdown was test my audience. Like I'd grown for many years running a program called 8 Week Physique, which many trainers and coaches know of. But when I was doing a lot of comp prep and body transformations, I had 8 Week Physique. Probably one of the first people who was running these 8 week challenges years and years ago, 7 years ago. And I decided that I took a hybrid version of that, and we launched online Next Level Body Challenge, our 2.0. And we ended up getting a large amount of people doing that program. And it gave a lot of the team a great opportunity to coach a good number of people online during that time. So we pivoted. Essentially, the point I'm getting to is we took our online audience, marketed a program, gave the guys a load of people to work with. That got some income for them. And then we just kept kind of working together. I've got a lot of online business coaching and mentoring that I do, the programs that I run online. So it was kind of a bit business as usual for me. But in terms of the pivot, we took our seminars online, which was amazing. We had 287 something trainers from all over the world who came on. Dan and I delivered our coaching general population clients on 2 days. And then we waited a week and then ran our coaching body transformation clients the week after. It was an amazing experience just to have so many people from Singapore and Hong Kong and New Zealand, Australia. So that was a great. I think the thing that's come out of lockdown, the same thing for a lot of personal trainers, is we've all got the ability to adapt, and it's only when we're forced to adapt does that come into play. And the funny thing is, right now, this week we're back to the gym today. The gym's open, and naturally over the last week I've had personal trainers saying, what do we do? How do we fill our diaries? And I'm like, this is like the same as lockdown. It's like you're going into a gym environment, you know what to do, you know who to speak to. I've been in gyms. I've been in my gym in London where I'm at today, and there's people in there training, plenty of them. I know some gyms have got restrictions, but the whole lockdown doesn't mean we can't speak to people, and I think this is a big issue with personal trainers, that whole communication aspect. But, going back to your original question, lockdown was great that it taught us to pivot, as it has done to a lot of trainers. And now it's back to business, and it's back to business for everybody, isn't it?
Getting after it now. So that's one thing that I found talking to a lot of people through lockdown, to a lot of the guys that I speak to that are considered successful either because of their business or their knowledge or their impact on the industry. It's that willingness to adapt that has made them what they are. And I think this lockdown has shown a lot of people that they're capable of things that they may not have thought they were 17 weeks ago, for example.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with people like yourself, it's an opportunity to grow rather than something to be, fearful of and kind of afraid of. So
I think we've got to look for. The opportunities. It's like training. I went in the gym today, and I trained at a bodybuilding gym in North London, and I was talking to all the guys, and there's something out of lockdown for us to learn about training. The stimulus that's required to maintain tissue, bearing in mind the amount of people that hadn't got gym equipment. There's so much to learn about social media that when you've got to make money, it's there. When you're forced, social media, you're running social media every day, and then you go and suddenly have no clients, then you have to speak to people online because that's your only choice. And the thing is, in a lot of commercial gyms, if you said that the only way, a lot of trainers go in there and train and talk to people and take 3, 4, 5 months to build their business. But, if the only way was tomorrow we're going to shut down the gym, so today you've got to sign up as many clients as you can, they all have the capability to speak to people on the gym floor. It's just there's no urgency. And I think, like you said, this lockdown period has forced people with urgency to adapt.
Definitely. And do you think that the industry is going to maintain its course with online coaching? Like, do you think that's going to become the mainstay, or do you think it's going to quickly revert back to face-to-face training?
Okay, so I like this because I'm a hardcore personal trainer. Like, I've done it for, I'm actively on the gym floor for 15 years. I was the 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And generally, if building a legacy, building a life for me and my wife, inspiring and educating other personal trainers wasn't the vision that I have now for where I'm at now. Like, going in the gym today to talk to trainers who I know from the gym here that I'm at in London, there's just such a wonderful thing about being a personal trainer on the gym floor. And when I saw everybody in the gym today, I was like, "Bud, great to see you." Like, gyms are amazing places.
Yeah.
But we're always going to have that type of person that lacks that one-to-one approach. We're always going to have, like, people in life. I love going to a restaurant. I don't like delivering Deliveroo. I hardly ever would deliver a Deliveroo. I like that, the restaurant, the customer service. I've always been fascinated by customer service. M10 is a big thing for us at my gym, with customer service. It should be for everybody. But I find that if you look at people's values in life, if you love training, you love people, you love helping people, and face-to-face is something that you value, then become a success at that area. And so that's what I think is going to happen, is that the Corona's taught people that you can earn a few quid online.
Yeah.
But are you fulfilled online?
Exactly.
Now, I know a lot of the bodybuilders and physique athletes that I know, online's phenomenal for them because they're training twice a day, they're prepping their meals all the time. And now they're able to train people all over the world that want to get in great shape. And in one gym, their ideal client, unless they're working out of a bodybuilding gym, they're not there. So if they are using social media as a vehicle to inspire and educate and support people online, and as a result they're reaching people all over the world to train them, what a great vehicle for them.
It's massive, isn't it?
It's massive, but I am absolutely huge fan of it. But then you've got the trainer that is working with a lot of general pop people, and people looking to improve their health and wellness. And to me, there's nowhere better to train that type of person than the gym.
Agreed.
Because they come in, they've got low self-confidence, they've got low motivation, they've got no knowledge around food. A check-in on a Friday for online training for a Gen Pop client. I mean, I've done it. I've done it. I've done everything you can imagine with personal training. And, having a video series online, coaching psychology and behavioral change, as much as it's fantastic, are you going to get somebody with low self-confidence to sit there and watch an hour of you talking about behavioral change? Are you going to get somebody to sit down and go through all the educational formats? Or are you going to sit down in the assessment room and say, "Sarah, let's have a chat"? And I think I know this, that you get more out of somebody that needs that coaching support in the gym. But I think a lot of personal trainers are seeing online, let's talk about personal training, more talk about online. So that's the future of the fitness industry. It's going to be the future of the fitness industry for online coaches, but it's not the future of the fitness industry for personal training. They're two separate models.
That's a very So do you think that, in your opinion, do you think that a lot of personal trainers that have transitioned to online should have had at least a bit more experience on the gym floor first to kind of sharpen the axe, as it were, before jumping into online? Do you think there's been a bit of too much of a rush?
I don't think there's too much of a rush. I think there's a lot of naivety. And one of the things that people underestimate is communication between me and you on Zoom right now. We'll build a relationship over the next hour discussing and talking and seeing each other face to face. We've only had communication via Instagram so far. And now I'm speaking to you. and you'll probably get to learn more about me through this than you will do anything. And so will trainers hopefully listening. But here's the thing: there's a lot of personal trainers that are very good at having a conversation in the gym, and then you've got to transfer that skill into communicating on a platform that's got billions of people.
Mm.
You've got to get attention, you've got to raise awareness, you've got to educate, you've got to have a degree of design or graphic design knowledge and experience.
True.
You've got to have a resilience to build relationships with people. You've got to have a knowledge around digital marketing, or a fundamental baseline of digital marketing. You've got to understand copywriting to get your words across in video. Mm-hmm. You've got to have confidence to shoot a video and not think that not compare yourself to everybody else in the world to the point where you go, hi, I'm going to talk about carbs. You've got to understand psychology and behavior to realize that 99% of what's spoken about online in terms of carbs and fat proteins and stuff is the majority of the reasons why people won't buy. It's more to do with the relationships and emotion. You don't walk in the gym or walk up to somebody and go, Steve, right? Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about the glycemic load. You would never do that in the gym. You'd go up and say, Steve, wasn't your son playing football last week? He goes, yeah. Did he win? Like, how did you remember that, Mark? Well, I don't know. I just, I like football, and anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. He comes in, he goes, Mark, how do you get on? This conversation, this dialect, that leads to a personal training client.
Definitely. So
then we've got to understand online that 99% of the posts that are being created are boring.
Yeah.
There's no emotion, there's no relationship building, there's no connection. And then trainers go, well, how do you make that connection? And I'm saying, well, here's the thing. If you had the opportunity to be a personal trainer and go on the gym floor and deal with all the emotions, the challenges, the confidence, the self-doubt, everything over the course of the next 1 to 2 years, and bearing in mind trainers start the industry like 19 to 23, right? Mm-hmm. And if they're starting around that age bracket where I had very little confidence and self-doubt and frustration and not knowing where I wanted to be, let's iron that out. And if you look at a trainer starting in a gym at £30 an hour, they do 20 sessions a week, 600 quid, pay a gym 150 quid, let's say they're making 450 quid a week, right? Well, if you're a trainer, let's just in terms of kind of high level, gross, 22 and a half grand a year, 25 grand a year, right? If that's your starting point, where most people would either house share or live with their parents, you can afford that. The industry is pushing everybody to think you've got to get to 6 figures as quick as you can. And trainers are getting blinded by that. Yeah. So let's start you off with 25 grand a year. Let's get you house sharing with a friend, which is just part of life. You don't suddenly go and buy a 500 grand house. You start that off there and you go, oh my God, talking to people on the gym floor is really difficult, right? I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Because you don't want people to say no. You learn sales, you learn communication, you learn your product, you develop your own physique. And you say, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do a year or two and then eventually developing an online business so you can travel and go to Australia. This whole new world of online has given some amazing opportunities to some incredible coaches that I know who are now, moving to different places in Europe and overseas and Dubai. It's giving great opportunities for people to travel. But the ones that are starting and getting qualified and going straight into online, it's very difficult because the amount of education that's being taught and the naivety and inexperience is not married with the degree of professionalism and knowledge that you need to scale your business online quickly. So here's the other thing. I would rather start personal training on 25 grand a year than I would do spend the next 6 to 7 months. And on average, let's be honest, the average trainer has not got 20 personal training clients online.
Definitely not.
Far from it. The average trainer dealing with a lot of emotions of stress, self-doubt, low motivation, frustration, lack of vision, lack of values. They don't know what they're doing. They're just putting posts out every day, thinking that their own photos of squatting every day is impressive enough to get somebody to take notice. They might have 5 online clients. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're starting out at 85 to 100 pounds per month, mm-hmm. you are not paying your rent.
No.
And I think let's be smart here. A lawyer starts, once they qualify, go through uni, works for a company, does the bar, gets in for a company, works with the company for a period of time, maybe gets to senior partner, and then thinks potentially about setting up their own practice, their own business, right? Good on them. Then you have personal trainers, and I'm not going to take anything away at all, Josh, from anybody wanting to go online, because let's be honest, if you've got the gift of the gab, you can write, you're passionate, you've been studying training, you've got something that's marketable, and it's working straight away. You've done a course and you feel confident with it. I've got trainers that I mentor that are going on there within a couple of months, they're up to 30 clients.
Nice.
But it's not everybody.
No.
And I'm not going to suddenly say on this, by the way, I'm your mentor that gets you 30 in 2 months, right? Because no, but majority of the people I work with would not do that, because they've got to build a brand, they've got to get a voice, they've got to build their confidence, they've got to get marketing skills and knowledge, they've got to get a lot wrong, you've got to get a lot of no's. So to go back to your original question, I think one of the most phenomenal things that we have available to coaches is get in a gym, learn how to PT, build your self-confidence, use some of the results you get in the gym, take them online with you, and it's a natural way to build a business without earning £500 a month for the next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So going back towards, because there was a question I wanted to ask you, but we kind of got on a bit of a tangent there that was quite useful. With your own personal training business, where for you, where did it all begin? What was your kind of origin story, as it were?
It's quite funny. I was just talking to a client of mine in Dubai earlier. We were talking about journeys and vision planning and kind of how things all develop. And the thing for me was, and I talk about this in my book, the journey started when I was unfulfilled. I was working with my dad, and he's got an incredible company. He's a property investor, and I had the privilege of working for him. I tried to go to university once, twice to do a property degree, didn't work, and I just wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy, and I said to myself right then, if I'm not happy in any job, whatever I do, whenever, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my dad, I've tried university, it's failed. I've tried to get a job, it's failed. I said, look, I'm going to go back to university. I'm going to give property one more go. He said, okay, good, let's go. As soon as I got to Sheffield Hallam University, I spent more time in the gym than I did anything else.
Yeah.
I just, and that's all that happened. But I just suddenly realized something. It wasn't until later on in my career I realized what had happened. But I just said to myself, I feel happy in here. Happier than going out drinking, happier than playing rugby, happier than spending time with my mates in the bar. Whenever I walked in that gym, I used to go in, I'd train, I'd go to the jacuzzi, I'd have a swim after training. It was Greens on Ecclesall Road in Sheffield. I'll never forget it. Spent more time, I was there 6-7 days a week. And then afterwards I'd have a tuna and jacket potato tuna jacket potato and mayo. And that was my routine every day. But I kept walking down the road, and I just said, I'm happy here. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the personal trainers, and I thought, geez, there's a chance I can turn this into my career. So just like most trainers, maybe you don't realize why you've got into the industry, but it pays to just look back and say, why, what got me started? Mm. And at that point, I went and did a Premier Diploma. I told my dad I'm going to leave uni. I paid $3,500. I've got to do a loan out from the bank, a career loan, and paid for the course. And I did 3 months. First thing I'd passed properly without, a lot of effort. I passed it just because I was inspired and motivated to pass the course. And then went straight into working for LA Fitness, one of the first personal trainers, LAPT, which was the model. Yeah. Back then. I was one of the first PTs in the Midlands and North, and ended up moving from there after building my personal training business for the first few years. Ended up being a regional manager, one of the first regional managers for LA Fitness personal training, and ended up having 20 clubs, I think 18 to 20 clubs that I managed. Wow. So that's what got me into the industry, and I think that a lot of trainers would be thinking, you got in with a degree, a master's, or you've been this, you've been that. I got in simply because it gave me something. Being in the gym and training just made me feel complete, made me feel happy. And here's the thing, I had a lot of low self-confidence at school. I didn't have a lot of girls, meet a lot of girls. I tried to meet a lot of girls, didn't particularly work. And I had a lot of low self-confidence, and I wasn't very big. I got bullied pretty heavy when I was younger at school. It was just a natural. I was at boarding school, so everybody bullied everybody.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nice because depending on how you dealt with it, it kind of put you down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that point when I was at school that I started to train a little bit. And then it made me feel better in myself and made me feel confident in myself. And I think there's something that a lot of people miss. We come to the gym not just to get in shape. It's what getting in shape does for this. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that if I was using the gym to empower myself and feel good in myself, and it increased my confidence and increased my ability to network and get to know people, if I stayed here and turned this into a job and helped other people do that, would this work? Mm. And that's really, if I'm absolutely honest, to say, why did you get into the fitness industry? Because it got me out of a hole. I was happy. And then I realized that if I was doing what makes me happy to other people, that's me set for life. And that's when I realized that I was in the right industry.
And that's, is there any kind of purer reason than that? I don't think you can find one.
I found my deep inspired energy. I don't think at that time when you say passion, for me, whenever I picked a bodybuilding book up, when I picked a training book up, when I picked a nutrition book up, I wanted to read it. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to talk about other subjects. I wanted to be in the gym, and I thought, well, why on earth would you even try and do anything else if it's this inspiring to you?
Exactly. And that's, like I said a minute ago, that's kind of the purest motivation. And obviously I guess that's pretty much the main driver for where you are today, is that you've still got that passion and that drive and that love for helping others.
Well, do you know what? This is why I've ended up, I work with, and for any of the trainers listening, I still have my mentors. Literally just before lockdown, I spent another 2 or 3 hours with my personal development mentor that I work with a lot to help me grow and develop myself, and I continue to have mentors. And one of the most important things for me was asking her a good few years ago now, like 5 or 6 years, like why am I not personal training? Like, this is an issue. Like, I'm a personal trainer. Like, why am I not doing this? And she's like, are you seeing that as a bad thing? I was like, no, but it's like I'm teaching trainers, but I'm not actively training on the gym floor as much anymore. I've always kind of got one person that I'm working on and giving a bit of help with. I did a transformation recently, and it's just passion projects. And she said, because we will need something to keep us inspired, something to keep us motivated, something to keep us thinking bigger and better and brighter. The fitness industry gave me my confidence back. It gave me a career. It brought me my relationship. It brought me confidence in my physique. It brought me a reputation. All of these things, so many people want and miss. And when I got to a certain point where I kind of said to myself, I've achieved so much. I've achieved great results, been in magazines, done all, competed, helped a lot of. Can I now help trainers get what I've been able to get out of the industry? Mm. And that's why I do what I do now. And it's still, to this day, when I mentor trainers and teach seminars and run our online programs, it's still coaching, because we're teaching the very thing that's made me who I am, that's made M10 and the team at M10 who they are. But it's allowing us to scale our influence. We train trainers go and train their clients, they train their clients better, we're still impacting clients, and I think because I've always been a coach, the natural progression was, how do I train more coaches and teach more coaches? So it's just been a natural progression, and still to this day, when they get up in the morning, my eyes pop up, and it's coaching, and I think that is the thing. If you take that away from me, that's why I still one-to-one coach online when I do business mentoring, rather than just group all the time. Because I just love working with a person and making an impact with a person. And as kind of ludicrous as that might think to people that are looking to scale, train, work with 1,000 people at a time, there's nothing more fulfilling to me than getting a one-to-one call and actually impacting an individual. Because if I can make that individual's life better, that's fulfilling because of what it did to me.
It makes a lot of sense. And the funny thing is, as well, I didn't realise that there was this crossover, but I was actually within the LAPT brand as well, but in I think
Where are you really?
2007. So I was only 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where about? Which gym?
It was LA Fitness in Thorpe Bay in
Okay,
Essex.
wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I went through with all of the guys. I don't know if you remember Dave Springle.
No.
He was a regional manager, and there was Keith Shaw who did my business course.
So what
Um,
we are now, 2020. So I've had M10 in Nottingham 8.5 years. I had the other one for that 13 years.
it's crazy.
So if we go back, yeah, if we go back 13 years. So what would that be? 2007?
Yeah, 2007. Yeah. So is that when you left?
So I set up M10 2006, 2007. I had one gym, which was a 1,250 square foot facility. I kind of outgrew that and then moved out of the town to a city and set up M10, which is the one that we have now. But yeah, that was back then when I was LAPT.
Wow. So yeah, I
And I left.
literally. So go on.
Right, no, I left there. There nothing wrong with their business model. You know, great on them for doing what they were doing, but it was very much P&L based. It was how many trainers can you get in the club, fill the club, job's good. And I had spent a lot of money and time and effort on my education, and I just didn't want to deliver trainers to a gym that didn't eat, sleep, and breathe like I did. And so I kind of wished them well and went on my way.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know you did that, but yeah, the LOPT model, the owners, Andrew and Nick, back at the time, I don't know what they're doing now, but you know, the funny thing is about LAPT, and people go, "Oh, did you not like working for them?" And I was like, "Well, at the time, I'd say no because I didn't particularly like them and the business model, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
that time." But now I look back and I wish I'd love to meet them again and just say thank you because.
Yeah.
I ended up running your P&L for your business. And now I help personal trainers with their P&Ls. But you know what that did with LAPT? I've been on top of my finances since that day.
Yeah.
And how many trainers do you know, Josh, that aren't on top of their finances?
Not many.
Exactly. So when I learned what a P&L was for LA Fitness, and I had X amount of trainers across X amount of gyms, you had to look at kind of costings and income and outgoings and taxes. And then you have to start there. Wow, I'm like managing a micro business for a bigger organization. And then when I open up a gym, it's like, okay, rent rates, and you know, managing your PT. And also, how do I make some more money? You know, because I mean, this is a topic that is taboo in the fitness industry. But you know, to me, the revenue was all about my self-worth and value. I coached. I was mentored a lot by Charles Poliquin and learned a lot from Charles. And I remember Charles saying, look, the more educated you get, the more credible you become, the more results you present, charge more. Mm-hmm. You know, because a personal trainer in a relatively, I'm not even going to say affluent area, but I'm a big believer in this, and I don't know what your thoughts on it, but I was undoubtedly the highest charging trainer in Nottingham. Mm-hmm. And my director of personal training now, Dan, is, you know, he lives in Nottingham and you know, manages his team. Mm-hmm. But the whole idea of in any area, you can create a brand within a location. Mm-hmm. To me, as a brand is that identifiable difference between you and others, how you make people feel, and what people know you as or what people say you are. And to me, when people said, I want to work with Mark Coles, it doesn't matter whether there's 15 trainers in a gym. You want to work with Mark Coles. Mm-hmm. But Mark Coles charges X. Don't care. Don't want to work with anybody else. And that's why I'm so fascinated about reputation. Because I do understand when a trainer says, I can't charge more than 30. I'm like, you can. I've been in the industry 7 years. I've not charged more than 30. Phew. Then I say education, business acumen, reputation, referral systems. And what I love about working with personal trainers and fitness professionals is we're all on a personal journey. Like we're on a personal journey developing as individuals. Like we got into the fitness industry because we love the gym. It doesn't mean we've got our shit together.
No. Definitely.
But that's, you know, honestly, I didn't know my ass from my elbow when I joined the fitness industry. I was like, I like training, and I take a client on, and oh my God, now I've got to train them. And it was the most nerve-wracking, intimidating thing I'd ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And you have to learn on the hoof. Like you're not skilled, you're not experienced, you're not knowledgeable. And all of this is as much a personal development journey as a personal trainer as it is an educational journey. That I love, because when I work with an individual, I'll say to them, this is going to be career and life changing, because I'm going to help you become a better version of you. Just like you will do with a client, you're going to help your client become a better version of themselves. But if the trainer's twisted and got too much going on in their mind, they're certainly not going to be about help their client. So we can understand all the psychology, behavior, everything that we want to do with our clients to try and get them to stop eating food and stop being fat. But if you yourself don't embody the principles that you teach, and you yourself have low self-confidence, self-doubt, low motivation, you're not going to get your clients the best results. You might get 5 or 6 pounds off them. And that's why I'm fascinated since the age of 23, 24, when I went through a massive, complete upheaval in my life, changed who I was completely, from being a rugby boy, beer drinking, party boy, to a dedicated professional wanting to build my brand and reputation. And I think personal trainers, to not look at something like personal development as, oh, personal development is only to do with when you've got issues.
Yeah, agreed.
Personal development to me is when there are roadblocks, how to manage them. So when you hit a brick wall of, I know what that emotion is, I know what I'm feeling, low self-confidence, cool. That's something you need to learn how to manage. I've got self-doubt, good. Let's learn how to manage that. Oh, I procrastinate, I've got low motivation. Let's learn how to manage that, because if you keep running into those, yet you keep training your clients, you're never going to improve. You know, and that's something which I have come into roadblocks many, many times for myself. And I'm like, well, it's not learning more about biomechanics that's going to get me through this one. It's not learning more about, you know, muscle physiology that's going to help me get through this one. It's me. Yeah. And that's why I think it's the book talks, my book talks about that personal development area as well as your education, because I do think in the fitness industry, Josh, not to digress a little bit, I do think the fitness industry, and am I critical of this in terms of delivering education? Yes, because there's a lot of education. There's not a lot of signposting.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of overwhelm and confusion, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I think that no matter what you try and do, people are going to be confused. But I think there needs to be, from a trainer's perspective, more of a stop. Is this relevant? Is this right? Is this what will make my business grow? Or is this me just lining the pockets of somebody? I have a business coaching program, and I have people call me and they're like, listen, I want to join. I'll pay whatever it is. And I'm like, you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not right. I don't want you to do it. I never forget Charles Poliquin saying to me, Mark, what's your question? He used to say, what's your question with your arm in the air? And I said, I've done level 1. I want to do level 2. And Charles says, have you applied level 1? I went, not yet, but I want to do level 2. And he went, do level 1. He said, I promise you'll end up at my course soon enough. But do level 1, apply it to your business, make sure you understand the components of it, then do level 2. And I went away, and initially I went, asshole. I just was like, yeah, he doesn't want me to learn. But he was right. Too many trainers learn and don't apply. Learn and don't apply. You know, and I think if we could get you know, a lot more trainers to kind of not just say, and this is the thing, so many trainers when they were younger weren't particularly smart, and suddenly they get exposed to something they love now. All they do every day is want to learn. Then I'm like, yeah, but you've just got a scrambled brain of knowing a lot, but not actually turning it into a business that's helping you build a career in the future.
Exactly, and I think that translates as well quite accurately to clients as well, because there's so much information out there. But generally, the clients have got all the information they need. They just need action, and particularly, you know, they need a targeted kind of strategy. And I find that with trainers, it's exactly the same. It's that whole shiny object syndrome, isn't it? It's that the latest course, the latest equipment, the latest whatever, but they don't have the, I can't think of how I want to phrase it, but they don't really have the backbone principles of why they need that.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think in the industry, Dan and I talk about this a lot at M10. The basics aren't sexy.
Mm.
The shiny objects you've just referred to them is sexy.
Mm.
You know, the deep biomechanics, the deep hormones, the deep muscle physiology, the deep biomechanics. And I've had all that shiny stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing is looking down at the fundamental basics and have you missed them out? Yeah, have you missed out shaking somebody's hand when they walk in the gym? Mm-hmm. Or do you just ignore them and expect them to be ready to train when you turn up? You know, have you got the program written out? That's boring. I want to talk to my clients about mechanics. Have you done foundation, flexibility, mobility? Mm. Have you done nutrition guidelines and onboarding processes? Have you understood fully the assessment strategy and you're able to explain to your client what an assessment strategy looks like and what actually you're going to work on as a result of what you've seen? No, what we do is we start talking about execution of muscles and like you're missing out all the stuff that actually layers on to equal the value, which keeps clients longer, which gets a result over time. All right, but that is not sexy, and that's what I think that 99% of the trainers that will come into our mentorship program, they'll have all the shiny object syndrome. Done this course, done that course. I want to tell you this. I've done this and I've done that, and I've done biomechanics, and I can tell you what this is and what that is. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think that's great because biomechanics is a lot. I love it, and I've done a lot of it. But what we generally do is say, by the way, after the first 6 months, you're going to learn very little about biomechanics. Mm-hmm. You're going to learn about the fundamentals, but not the application, deep application. Mm. And so I think that there is a desire in the fitness industry to try and create something that's quite fresh and new and innovative, when realistically, if it was marketed right and your brand stood by what some trainers need, mm-hmm. then there'll be a lot of information that's delivered quite basic, but yielding incredible results.
It's always the same, isn't it? It goes back.
And as you said, Josh, I'll just finish on this point. As you said, there's a lot of clients who are general pop looking to lose weight, increase, their mobility, flexibility, looking to improve their health, reduce stress. They're not ready for advanced nutrition, advanced biomechanics, advanced XYZ. They're ready to learn basic client behavior, human behavior, psychology, habit formation, and just get it right.
Massively. It's so simple, and that's the frustrating thing as well. It's getting that message across to as many trainers as possible, really, isn't it?
Well, listen, personal training is not professor lecturing, right? It's personal training. It's not a, bring your thesis in and present it to your personal training client. I'm not saying that we don't need to know our science at all. We do. I'm not saying that we don't need to understand, some more complicated stuff. But a really good personal trainer, having a lot of knowledge, then delivering the necessary and need to know, that's the winning combo, and repeating that over and over again and ensuring people get results. And there's a lot of personal trainers that come out of PT school or do a year after PT school and just look at a lot of the courses and go, until I've done all those, I'm nothing. Well, if you're getting results for your clients, they love you and they're happy and they're consistent in your referral, you're building a business.
Exactly.
And if you're building a business and you're increasing your earning and you get a waiting list and you've got people that want to work with you, that's the fundamental thing that people miss when they go in search of just education after education after education. They don't have a business at the end of it.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Nice, massively agree. And to be honest, I've been there as well with, a couple of years ago, and I'd be looking at the next copywriting course, and I'd be looking at, right, how do I grow a membership site, and how do I do this? And I was always buying more courses. And then there was the amount that would never be started or would be left half finished. And then once I learned to let go of that, of comparing myself to other people and comparing myself to other business owners, that's when I thought, right, what do I need to do to make my business grow? Not what's everyone else saying that they're doing is making their business grow. Like, I had to personalize that journey. down to what I needed, and that was a big learning curve for me, to be honest.
Well, what you said there was a massive thing to do with comparison. And I've had it through my career. I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't, because I think it's a natural part of evolving as an individual. But when you compare yourself to other people, what you're actually starting to do is start to look at the values that they have and go, hey, I'm going to live my life according to those. Mm-hmm. So that person is a bodybuilder, they've got a big following, so I'm going to start to build my physique, I'm going to start to do this education, I'm going to start to do this. And then you realise that it's actually not what you want to do, or you just don't feel happy, but you don't know why. And I'm like, well, because you're trying to be somebody else. You're trying to copy some other people's stuff. And so many personal trainers, here's the thing. If you love CrossFit and you want to be a CrossFit coach in the fitness industry, do it. If you want to be a Pilates instructor and Swiss ball instructor, if you want to be a yoga teacher, if you want to be a personal trainer training general pop clients, if you want to be a personal trainer training the elderly, if you want to be a personal trainer that does body transformations, or even a prep coach that wants to get people on stage, there's a spectrum of where you fit. Mm-hmm. And the problem is a lot of people thinking that they need to be something.
Yep.
And that's one of the biggest problems for not growing a business.
Massively. That could be another 2-hour, podcast.
Could be a very, very long episode. Very long episode, and we could easily go there.
So my next questions, they're two together. But the first one is, if you had someone that was coming into the industry brand new, they've just finished their course, what would be kind of the top advice that you would give to them for the next year? What should they be focusing on, do you think?
So the first year, essentially, if I'm absolutely honest, is you have a toolbox of information that's been shared at you at your personal training school. Mm-hmm. You've had the basics of nutrition, the basics of, they teach calories, mm-hmm. They teach calorie deficit, they teach the fundamental basic principles, which if you went to read back your notes, the confusion of diet that you've been giving people nowadays, if you read back over your PT school notes, they would have taught you the basics of giving somebody a balanced diet, mm-hmm. Right? So my first bit of advice is go over your blooming notes. Take what you've learned and put it into, that's a program for a beginner client, that's a program for an intermediate. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Take the nutrition, make some templates of nutrition, set your computer systems up, get templates for your programs, template for your workouts. Get in the gym, on the gym floor, to someone that's just qualified. Get in the gym and on the gym floor. Start building relationships up with people. Start building up relationships up with people. Get to know everybody in the gym management, the sales, the coaches, the team, and just spend the next 3 months utilizing what you know, getting a client base and just getting clients. Especially for the first 3 to 4 months. There's so many trainers that think you need to be knowledgeable and highly skilled as soon as you start. I personally think that you've been given enough off a 3-month course. And people say, oh, bollock, you've not been given enough of a 3-month course. They need to know this, they need to know that. Well, do you know what the number one principle of personal training is? Be a decent person. Right? So why don't you just spend 6 months, 3 months talking to people and just getting to know people? You'll be surprised how many people pay you to train with you if you're nice. Yeah. I've never been asked what qualifications I've got in my life. Never. You're going to be nervous. You need to get some practice with people. You're not going to get it right straight away. So 3 to 6 months, fill your diary, and then actually start to work with your client. Start to identify what challenges you're running into. Mm-hmm. Start to think about what clients do you enjoy working with. Weight loss, muscle building, fat loss. What areas do you enjoy teaching? Try and work out who is the type of, within the first year, who's the type of person you'd love to work with. Mm. The other thing I'd do is start looking online as to what educators you navigate towards and you're inspired and like their stuff. Follow them, learn from them, but do you share similar values, or do you find that they intimidate you and the information they share is something you think you need to know, so you stick with it, but you don't actually want to know it, but you think you need to know? Stick with the people you're inspired by, motivated by, you enjoy their education, it's aligned with the type of people that you work with. Soak in as much online. Don't just run after the first course that's on Facebook ads. Just take your time. This is not a race.
Exactly.
Build your personal training business up, literally 25, 30 sessions a week. Get to know who you like to work with. Start to build a little bit of a portfolio of the things that are going wrong, the challenges that you're facing, because you're going to get loads of stuff wrong before you get it right. Spend a bit of time on social media developing, your eyes for kind of who you like. If there's like a convention or anything that you could go to just spend a bit of time with like-minded people, do it. And then navigate personally towards a focused, not advanced kind of personal training. I mean, obviously, I would say, along our lines, we have like a 6-month mentorship that we run, but go to some seminars. I would not say to you straight away, by the way, yes, you've listened to this podcast, come and join our 6-month mentorship. Because if you don't know me, you're just throwing yourself into an education program, know nothing about it.
Exactly.
Come to one of my seminars. And if you think, I don't like him, I think he's a knob, good. Go and find somebody who you don't think is a knob. Because there's no point learning from somebody that's either intimidated to you or you don't gel with. I've competed, and I love physique development, building physique, and I train bloody hard. And some younger trainers kind of see the kind of way that we, teach, and maybe you're not aligned necessarily with how we deliver. Now, I'm certainly not, smashing people into the ground and giving, crazy advanced workouts. Far from it. But I'm quite a straight talking coach and mentor and educator. And you might look at me and go, do you know what? Just like I did when I saw Charles Poliquin, he'd got muscles, and he was very to the point.
Yeah.
And I looked at Charles and went, do you know what? If I did what he said, I know that it's going to move me forward. But I'm also very much aligned with what he's saying. But if someone's sitting in the room and going, oh, I'm very intimidated by Charles, maybe he's not the right educator for you. Go and work with somebody who is. So find an educator, a mentor. Educators, seminars more than mentors. In the early days, who you align with, who you like their stuff inspires you, and you can see how it fits into the model that you've got. And don't just run after a course because there's a Facebook ad thinking promising X, Y, Z when it's a million miles away from what you know and love. And I think in those first 6 to 12 months, you've got to take your time and start to understand what is it that I enjoy, who is it that I enjoy training, and then start to navigate towards the courses of people that have actually got that information for you. Because one of the things I did with the Poliquin Institute was, obviously I was very inspired by Charles. He taught me a lot around a lot of different things. But I got to a point when I got to kind of one of his level 4, the end of level 4 with his certifications. And I just went, I'm not a strength coach. And I don't want to be a strength coach. And let me say on this podcast today, if you don't want to be a strength coach, if you don't want to be a weight loss personal trainer, if you don't want to be a body transformation coach, my biggest advice, and this is what can take the first year to try and find out where you fit, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Do what you're inspired to do. Do what, the funny thing is, around me when I was doing a lot of movement and Gary Gray stuff in the early days, I was doing a lot of movement stuff and corrective work and all this sort of stuff. And I felt a bit of a twat doing it, if I'm honest. For mobility, it was one thing. Getting the hips opened up, frontal plane and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I kind of got that, and it was mobilizing the hips and felt all great. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I watched the videos and going through his functional digest videos, I was like, and it was just tough.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed Paul Chek in the early days more than I did going through Gary Gray. Nothing wrong with Gary Gray. He's a very smart guy, but I just didn't gel.
Yeah.
Then I started going to Poliquin. I'm like, and he was about lifting weights. He was about getting lean. He was about getting jacked. He was about doing body transformations. And I was like, this is where I need to be.
This is the guy.
Right. But here's the thing. This is why great colleagues of mine run education programs that you and I both know, across the country and worldwide. And I've got many friends that are educators. And the funny thing is, in the fitness industry, this is why we don't need to rush. Most of us have had the same people study our stuff. they've studied whatever the courses we've got, then they finish and they go and do somebody else's. Sometimes people stay with us and do the whole lot of our stuff for 2-3 years. But a lot of times personal trainers are dying between so much, they don't know where it all relates and they just get lost.
Yeah.
And I think that's just my biggest bit of advice is to just stop, take stock and understand what is it that's deeply inspiring to you. And what do you love as opposed to doing what the rest of the crowd are doing.
See, I think that kind of that reminds me that when I did start as a personal trainer at LA Fitness, it was very, very daunting because it was, right, you go in, next month you've got 6 weeks free or whatever it was, rent free, and then you start to pay £800 a month rent. And all I had was a clipboard, a pen, and a paper.
Black clipboard.
The black clipboard, 100% the LAPT, like the
perfect logo.
And then I had a paper diary, and it was just a case of you go out, you speak to people, there was no option to go on social media and look at X, Y, and Z. I don't even think obviously YouTube wasn't really a thing, but what that gave me was the opportunity to learn what I wanted to do and effectively be my own person. And I look at all of these because I've got a newborn baby. So the other day I was looking through. Thank you very much. I was looking through Instagram feeds as you do. I'm just waiting for the baby to fall back asleep, and they're all the same. All the fitness influencers are exactly the same. They're all wearing Gymshark leggings. They're all doing X, Y, and Z. They're doing the same poses. They're posting the same information. And I think that's why a lot of personal trainers get frustrated trying to rise above the noise of everyone else, because everyone's trying to do their own. They're trying to do that same. They're trying to take the same journey, but it's not their journey. And I think that's a really good point that you made.
Very often people try to be somebody else because they don't yet know who they are themselves. Yeah. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for spend that first year just settling into the industry. Mm-hmm. Watch people, listen to people, learn from people, earn a bit of money, get a bit of a cushion of cash that you can kind of have in your account, so you don't actually have to, just spend everything that you've got. Yeah. Watch educators online. I mean, I didn't have. Well, we had. I don't know whether was it Facebook only came out like 10, 11 years ago. So, I mean, I've been, let's say there was 9 years prior to that, I didn't have anything. So you'd see Charles Poliquin's articles and emails. That was it, right? So now you see everybody's everywhere. It's just overwhelmingly confusing. And that's what I think that a lot of coaches need to really do, is just take their time, do their research, listen to other people, ask yourself if it's the right thing for them to be doing. And if it's not, then find something that's along your path, because you'll be a lot happier and you'll have a better business.
Boom. That's a sound.
And then reach out to people and then go and speak to other coaches. Mm-hmm. Have you been on this course? Is it right for me? Do you think it'll work for me? Yeah. Well, listen, do this, do that, try that. Oh, well, they've got a seminar. Do the seminar first. That's why seminars are amazing. Do a seminar, see if you gel, see if you love the topic, and then with every business, we both have the same. The seminars are a lower entry point, and we have higher price programs. I'd rather you not do one of our higher price programs and get it right than doing a program that you invest all your money and go, oh shit,
And that's again that kind of leads me nicely onto my next question, which I'll explain in a second. But I see so many people that are burnt by these six-figure mentors, and they do the complete opposite of you, and they are literally there for scaling. They're there for the money. They're there for as many clients as possible, and they don't get that good fit for the client and coach, the PT and the mentor kind of relationship, and they're all about the money, and that's when people get ripped off.
Here's the thing. I actually don't necessarily think it's a rip-off. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why. One of my highest values is, things that I value. Of course, I value money. I value wealth. I value having stability for my wife and my life that we have, and my legacy in my business. But I value my reputation. I value training. I value clients. I value results. I value reputation and brand building, because that thing lasts the test of time. Mm-hmm. And I'm here for a long time. I don't want to be a flash in the pan. The difference is, in my opinion, and forgive me for kind of saying I have a difference in opinion, I'll share with you why. Because the coaches that are teaching six figures have money as the thing that drives them above all else on this planet. And so, as a trainer, if you sign up for a six-figure framework, all you'll ever be spoken to about is how to make money, how to make money, how to drive your business forward, how to get more leads, how to convert more clients. And when I run my kind of higher level business programs, I'll say, guys, if you're here to make six figures and you truly want to make six figures, this will be an insane 6 months for you. Because you, above everybody else in this program, are probably going to be the person that sells the fastest, builds the most programs. Because if you're dedicated to making a lot of money, you would be doing something right now that's dedicated to making loads of money. If that was the thing that was so deeply inspiring to you, you'd have a lot of money. But guess what? Guess what they have a lot of? Muscle. Body. No, but the thing that's mostly motivating to personal trainers is how to build their body or how to study. Like, trainers have wealth in a different format, right? Go to people's bookshelves, go to people's Instagrams, thousands and thousands of pounds on books, educational material, reading material. Trainers have wealth, they just spend it differently.
Agreed.
Whereas somebody on the other flip side who's got a nice car, flashy house, making shitloads of money, if you're 2 years into the fitness industry and you can identify that being super wealthy right now in your career is the number one thing that's inspiring and driving you, go and find one of these people, because they have made their business very successful. But I promise you one thing, you won't build a reputation in the fitness industry and go to expos and walk around and see fellow fitness colleagues and, you know, me and you connecting because of my reputation in the industry. If I was sitting there, you know, throwing money at the ceiling and flashing cash everywhere, I would not be speaking to you on this podcast today.
Agreed.
Right. So here's the thing. This is the most important thing. I make money. And I don't hide the fact that I make money. In terms of, someone says, well, is business going all right? Yeah, business is going very well. You know, we train a lot of trainers all over the world. We've got all these different things going on. But at the core of this is the fact that I freaking love people and I love brand building, and I built a name for myself and a reputation for myself, and I'm utilizing that brand and reputation to increase products and services over time, all coming back to that one central hub. And when you look at people in the fitness industry, I use my great friend Jordan Peters, a very well-known bodybuilder and educator and inspirer of many, has ended up building his own personal brand. And off that, he's got supplement range, he's got clothing range, he's got a membership website. You can only do that when you build a brand.
Exactly. Solid foundation.
Yeah, it is a solid foundation. I think ultimately, if you find out who you are, how you fit in the industry, who you want to train, what your niche is, develop your message, get great results, and then over time, people go, yeah, I don't want to build the same business as him. And I went, well, if you're a body transformation coach and they've got a membership site as a low entry point and they've got this and they've got that, tweaking it a little bit differently because it's your brand, but it's a model that works, kind of makes it sensible to follow that similar sort of model.
Yeah. But
because your brand is your brand, it's very different. So I think that, you know, there are, rightly so, a lot of people that are literally 150% focused on wealth, and they are making a lot of money, but then when you compare yourself to somebody that's flashing the cash around and they've got every different type of funnel going, they've got every type of ebook going, they've got every type of webinar that they've got going, and they're making money, just ask yourself, would I want that life? Would you want sitting at your laptop all day creating digital? I mean, they are the ones that are flashing the cash around are very much digital marketers.
Definitely. They're
not personal trainers and they're not online coaches. They're running a digital marketing business. And that's a big divide, you know, because being a fitness professional, because you love training and helping other people, I see a lot of digital marketers and they get like great transformations, but their heart and soul isn't in the client. The heart and soul's in making the money, which again is nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But if you go and hire them and you get pissed off that they're not talking about clients all the time and brand building and systems and getting the whole business built and the framework around longevity, then more fool you for hiring somebody that's not got that as their primary business model.
Agreed. Mind blown. I love it. So going back to the question about, the advice for someone that's new to the industry, the second part of the question was, if we've got someone that is now 2 to 3 years into the industry, they've got time with clients, time in the trenches, they've started to develop their business, how do they, what advice would you give when they're ready to level up? And I'm intended to use that wording.
Good, love it. Well, I think at this point, the next natural step really is, if we're kind of like a generalist and we've not really got a bit of a niche where we are, start to move up to that kind of specialism route. Yeah. And so, I think working with general populations is amazing, but you can work with general population people, become more of a specialist at a particular field of working with general pop. Yeah. So it doesn't mean generalist. The next step is a body transformation coach. And I think that's where the fitness industry thinks the only place you're going to be successful is being a body transformation coach.
Yeah.
True. Rubbish. You can be, you can work with, if you work at the gym and you generally focus with, more of the heavier overweight people, stay there. Love it. Be the best at it.
Yeah.
If you generally tend to work with a lot more of the kind of injury rehabilitation people, be good at that. If you end up trying to navigate into, people think in the gym, it's not the people that love running. It's like, well, you start a running club, you'll suddenly find out those are your perfect clients are right there. Exactly. And so find out what you're passionate about. You would have found out by 2 to 3 years into the career. Then start to delve into the actual specifics of that niche kind of target audience as a personal trainer. I genuinely got to the point where everybody trained with me. All I wanted to work with is people that wanted to achieve something that they never thought was possible and to work harder than they ever thought they could.
Amazing.
So for me, I would train you when you were fat, thin, black, white, Indian, Asian, not a care in the world. Just train hard. So my niche was training hard.
Amazing.
That's it.
Did you ever find that was too general of a niche, or did that serve you quite well?
No, because if somebody came to me and said, I'm a bit of a fairy, but I want to know how to train hard, then I'll teach you how to train hard. So that wasn't, people would look, I'm not, when I say train hard, I don't mean kind of like all the plates falling off and all that sort of stuff. I just push people beyond, and I wouldn't mean doing an eccentric set on the hack and then lifting it up for them and then burying them down at the bottom of the hack. I'm a professional coach. But I just mean that no matter what we do, we'll always keep pushing more.
Nice.
There are a lot of personal trainers in the fitness industry that don't push for more. They get to a certain point, they're knackered, they're uninspired. But for me, I did a podcast this morning with Jordan Shallow, and many people probably know Jordan. And we were talking about that whole concept of kind of purposeful coaching. I talk about this in the book as well. Purposeful coaching with the intent of making a change. Okay? On purpose. I am going to train you on purposely to improve. Now, I've seen in my career that, and you and I both know this, if you push the boundaries, you train harder, you want more, you do more, you get more out of who you are as an individual. Agreed. Now, I've seen a lot of people, I use that kind of word fairy for men and women, but who come in the gym and they just do a leg press and go, it's heavy. And 6 months later, they're like, come on, I've got 2 more in me. That's what I love. And so I'd love somebody to just leg extension, go, ooh, and panic and shake. If you're watching this on YouTube, fine. If you're not, you wouldn't see me shaking. But they shake and they get all nervous about their muscles shaking, and they do a bicep curl and they're doing the same thing. Like, I love that type of client as much as I do a body transformation client. Because that's why, by the way, I teach young personal trainers how to build professionalism and the fundamentals of building a brand as much as I do working with trainers that are earning 20 grand a month, right?
Makes sense. Because
people go, do you not niche? Do you niche down on trainers that are earning a particular amount a month? I went, no. I'm inspired by change.
Yeah.
And that's the same with personal training. Now, the outcome with body transformations, as I got known for, you know, and physique development and bodybuilding was the combination of time over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love nothing more than the young personal trainer coming on our business kind of seminars and learning, oh, that's all the fundamentals I'm not doing, as I do at the top end, scaling a business.
Mm.
So, you know, when you're in the gym and you're looking at somebody training in the gym and looking at that kind of niche area, you know, I think that niche could be, well, listen, there's Dave and Sarah. They're great people. They focus a little bit more on rehab and kind of like a lot more on kind of like structure and posture.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Mark, like, you want a result?
He's your guy.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to be. But then as over time goes by, the most unlikely people ended up being transformations because I expected of them what I expected of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when they would say, what's next? I went, do you want to do a shoot? And they go, what? Me in front of a camera? I went, listen, I've proven you right with everything I've done so far. Let's do a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, okay.
That's amazing.
And then they do a shoot. Now, here's the thing. When you get someone to a shoot, suddenly all your clients want to do a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people say, how do you get to do photo shoots? Get one of your clients to do a photo shoot. Because then the rest of your clients will go, is that a goal? I never thought I could have that goal.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, how did I end up training body transformations and competitors to be on stage? Because I expected even my basic general population clients to improve at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't, I'm going to beat you until you want to be a body transformation. But the body transformation was the end result of continuing to make progress. And here's the thing. It wasn't 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been 2 years.
Yeah.
Dan and I were talking about this the other week. He had one of his clients that we talk about all the time when we do our seminars, Dave. And Dave was with him for like 2 years.
Wow.
And he just, regardless of the program Dan would give him, he just couldn't be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have loads of beer at the weekends. He wasn't losing much weight. And Dan said, I'll persist. He's not going anywhere. He likes me. I'll keep pushing him a little bit. And then we back off when he puts a bit of weight on. And then Dan said he just showed him his results one day. And he said, really? Are we staying there? And he went, no. And he did the most insane body transformation. And I think one of the things as personal trainers, we get very unfulfilled with our clients when they are not a result.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's been 16 weeks, my client's not got a good result. Then they dip their motivation.
Definitely.
Guys, you've got to be in this for the long haul because behavioral change takes time. Family change takes time. Like to get a client through a body transformation, you've got to get their family behind them.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to learn how to say no at social events. Like so, that might take a year of behavioral change. Then they have 6 months where they go completely off the rails.
Yep.
Then they get back in the gym. Then you undo all the habits again. But this is all about the journey of behavioral change. You know, so you know, for me, that kind of niche thing is all about, you know, if you think, what's your niche? What's your brand?
Mm-hmm.
If people are sat down having a coffee at Waitrose, what are they saying about you? And if they're saying, Mark, he's all right, he's a nice guy. Yeah, I think he does weight loss. That was one thing that used to wind me up massively. I would want to walk into anywhere and people say, what's Mark? Well, he's the only one in that gym that will get you a result.
Mm.
And my mum, I remember, never forget, she went to a hairdresser and she was having a haircut and the hairdresser said, I'm going to start training with your son. She went, not in a million years. And he said, why? He goes, he wouldn't train you. Anyway, he will. And he ended up training with one of the guys in Nottingham. I said, because you won't. I said, because you'll just moan. And true as eggs are eggs, 3 weeks later, he cancelled training.
Wow.
So, you know, we're not going to say, by the way, you've got to pass an initiation test to train at M10. But all of my guys at M10 just expect more.
Mm-hmm.
And our slogan for M10 is expect more, achieve more.
Nice.
And it's expect more of us and we'll deliver. Mm-hmm. And if you expect more of yourself and we expect more of ourselves as well in terms of our own knowledge and development, you'll achieve more.
It's a self-perpetuating kind of circle of improvement.
Yeah, and I put on the front of the book, you know, the roadmap to achieving excellence. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, excellence isn't egotistical. It's not, you know, a definitive of you've reached a destination. Excellence is just the pursuit of progress.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, excellence with an ENCE on the end is just journey. And that's why I love personal training. That's why I love mentoring. That's why I love coaching. It's just taking somebody through incremental stages of their career and their journey and just helping them to see the next level. And, if it's just the next level that you can go to, think if you took your life to the next level, your business to the next level, your coaching to the next level, your physique to the next level, and you're still here after 5 or 6, 7 years of doing that, you give your clients like 12, 15 weeks to try and get in shape. You owe it to them to lay down everything that you can for them to help them to level up in as many ways as possible. And that's why, for me, the whole word level up, the whole excellence and roadmap is that there's a long bloody journey ahead of you as a career, as a personal trainer. And, you owe it to your clients to get the best out of themselves. And then in turn, that will get the best out of them.
I massively agree. That's, again, more knowledge bombs. So I've got 2 more questions for you, and the next one is, tell me more about your book and what it involves and how the idea came about. Just a bit of a shameless plug.
Well, there's the shameless plug. This is out. This I'm extremely proud of. I'll tell you how it came about. So I was teaching. I was hired by a very great guy, a coach who owns a gym called Elite Fitness in Abu Dhabi. And the owner of the company, it wasn't him at the time, James. The owner of the company, James, is kind of the boss of the business. Very wealthy gentleman. And I went over there to teach. And for about a year or 2, I've been toying with the idea of a book. But I just couldn't get my head around what it would be. And while I was over there, I did 2-day seminar. And day 1, this gentleman who owns the company, very wealthy guy, just watched me the whole day. I had trainers. I was teaching trainers. And afterwards, I just thought to myself, I'm just going to capitalize on this opportunity here. I said, I hope you don't mind me asking you a question, but when I'm in the presence of successful people, I like to see if I can just ask something that's on my mind to see if you can give me your advice. And I said, why have I not written a book? You've listened to me teach all day. Why have I not written a book? And he said, because you won't be writing an education book. You'll be writing a legacy book. And I went, and I remember being in the departure lounge at the hotel, at the airport on the way back. And I was like, Level Up wasn't born, by the way, then. And even the book, like what I wanted it to be. But I suddenly gave myself permission to not worry about it needing to be done over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And then that word legacy meant that it's going to have to be a book that combines my journey, and I'm not done yet. I'm certainly not done now, but in order to share my journey and share the lessons that I've got in there to help the audience that I want to help, I've far surpassed in terms of what I can share to give people help. Yeah. And then just over the course of the next year or so, kind of my mind, I've always used Level Up, but I've used Level Up for myself. I haven't been throwing it on everything on social media and everything like that, but it's just been, my whole life and journey has been in incremental steps towards a vision. And I learned about vision planning many years ago and having a very clear, decided vision of where I wanted to get to. And then just stepping stones. And then I've used Level Up, as many people do. People use the word Level Up. It's not exclusive to me. And then I spent a lot of time with my publisher talking about that, writing the book. And you can either be an author of a book that talks about very much about an autobiography, or you can do like more of a roadmap and a journey and a toolbox. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a combination of what I'd experienced, but I don't want you to read it and go, I'm going to copy Mark. I wanted it to be, listen, this is kind of what I've identified and noticed, but along the way, here's what you need to do, or here are the tools that you can implement, and the actions and structures and processes that you can do so that you can essentially level up and achieve this big thing for me is achieving your own fulfilling, successful, happy career, not mine. Not a copy of mine, giving you the tools so that you can create your own. And so the book itself, about eight months ago, I kind of sat there and I said, I'm going to write the book. Started to write the book, and I remember Ben Pekulski, those of you who know bodybuilding, Ben Pekulski is a great friend of mine, wrote the foreword to the book. And I rang him because he was in the process of writing the book. We had a Zoom call, And I said, Bud, doing the book every day is a nightmare. And he said, like, how many words are you doing every day? And I said, oh, God, as much as I can. Like yesterday, I was on it most of the day. And he said, this is just 1,000 words a day. 1,000 words a day. And that's funny because I think that I take a lot from this, from writing articles, doing videos. Everything's got to be planned and prepared. And then if a book's going to take 7 months to do, it's going to be 1,000 words a day. And I decided it's going to be 4 hours a day. That's it. And I think a lot of us can take a lot from just micro work goals as opposed to macro work goals.
Massive.
And 7-8 months later, I had about 2 months off where I lost the plot in terms of where I was going with the book, and then I came back in line again. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I just genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, hope that it helps fitness professionals. It's not just PTs, because at the end of the day, online coaches, fitness, personal trainers. I've had people in kind of physiotherapy and even Pilates. It talks a lot about coaching and the fundamental knowledge that essentially needed to become a great coach and apply. But there's a lot of life and business lessons around that you can apply to a lot of other industries.
It's actually on my, because you sent me a copy, it's on my next to read list. So yours is, I'm literally just finishing up a book. And
well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you got a copy. Anyway,
and I appreciate
it fits in at the right time.
It was amazing. But I'll definitely give you some feedback and
thank you.
Let you know
I really appreciate that.
But I'll tell you what, the thing that I noticed straight away was because I always flick through a book when I get it. It's a bit of I don't know why, but the quality looks really, really high of the printing. That's just the first thing that I noticed. So that's my first initial feedback.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
So the book, if I'm correct, comes out on the 3rd of August.
It does. It's available for pre-order right now, so you can order a copy. My birthday is the 3rd of August, so it's out on the 3rd of August, and it'll be at your home to open presents like I will be, and you'll have your own parcel there ready to open on the 3rd.
That's amazing. That's random as well. My birthday is the 5th of August.
Is it?
Yeah. So my final question. If people want to reach out to you and find you, where are the best places for them to go, like social media, websites, that sort of thing?
Well, we know with marketing, essentially, just come to one central spot and I'll guide you all the rest of the way. I have a podcast called the Mastery Podcast. And so you can find me on there. There's a lot of episodes and content on there. Great guests as well. And then my Instagram, which is a main platform, which is Mark Coles M10, which is the gym. So Mark Coles M10. And then also there's, we're having our education website redone. So in about 5 or 6 weeks' time, m10life.com will be our central hub for our education. So keep an eye on that. But that's it. You'll find your way around, and I'll guide you along your way.
Amazing. So I'm gonna say for now, thank you so much for your time. I think there's so much information that the guys out there can use to grow and level up, and I really appreciate with you how busy you are and everything that's going on. I really appreciate your time.
I just want to say, Josh, for giving me the opportunity to speak to other coaches. And the funny thing is, in this industry, we will all study each other's work.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. I've got John Berardi on my podcast later on this week. And I know people are like, yeah, but he does education, you do education. It's like, well, the whole idea in the fitness industry is we're here a long time.
Yeah.
I've done nearly everybody's education that I would want to do in my field. So when we essentially are all in the industry to help other people get better, introducing each other to different networks is what it's all about. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity as well.
It's that's something actually that I massively believe fundamentally. So that is, for example, you teach so much stuff that I do not, like with the body transformation stuff, the physique seminars. Like I don't even touch that stuff with our education. So it comes back to that knowing your own journey and knowing what you're good at and having that security in yourself.
Yeah, and you know what? We teach a lot of business and marketing, and so, but the way I deliver what I deliver is very different to what other people deliver. Yeah. There's a lot of personal development I deliver all my journey. Do people deliver it the same as me? No. Could they deliver it learn it from somebody else? Yes. could you learn from both people? Yes, and work out according to you, because there's enough personal trainers in the world for everybody. Is what I'm going to learn from this person aligned with who I am, and am I inspired to learn from them? One of my greatest people I learned personal development from was John DeMartini. I learned from him for years. I'm not jump on the bandwagon of Tony Robbins. I find his stuff inspiring, but I'm more of an advocate of, and John DeMartini has been recognised as the top human performance coach this year. But might not resonate with a lot of you on here. But whereas Tony Robbins and all the other motivational kind of coaches will. Tony's obviously his systems and processes, but I say motivation is like there's a lot of hype around his events, and they're very, very, whereas other coaches aren't necessarily. So it just depends what's your jam.
Exactly. It's this has been amazing. I really appreciate the time.